Hey everybody, what is up? Chad Wesley Smith here for Juggernaut Training Systems, joined, as always, by Melissa. And today we're going to be talking to you about pause squats, how to do them, why to do them, and when to include them in your training. As always, on the Juggernaut Training Systems channel, our videos are brought to you by the Juggernaut AI app. Just put out a great new update 2.5, tons of new features, improvements in the algorithm, new programs, all that good stuff. So you can get a 2-week free trial by visiting the link down in the description, juggernautai.app, and get the smartest program for you, customized to your gender, age, height, weight, strength, experience, all that good stuff, weak points in the lifts. It might choose an exercise for you like the pause squat to address your weak points. So you can go check that out. Again, a 2-week free trial, link down in the description, or go to juggernautai.app. All right, so today we're going to be talking about the pause squat. So how to do the pause squat. It's just like a regular squat, but with a pause. So you want to make it look as identical to your regular squatting as possible, which there are dozens, if not hundreds, of videos here on the Juggernaut Training Systems channel to learn about. So one key point that I want to talk about with the pause squat is, how do you pause? How long do you pause? Kind of two considerations in the way that you pause. You could do what I would call a passive pause, and Marissa's going to sit at the very end of her range of motion, and she's going to rest her hamstrings on her giant calves, and she's just hanging out down there. Or she could do what I would call an active pause, which is going to be right slightly below that bottom range of motion, and she's going to hold herself in that position, keeping her quads, hamstrings, glutes, everything fired and turned on while she's down there. I would highly encourage you to do an active pause when you're doing pause squats, because it's not uncommon for a passive pause to turn into all the way down, and then when it's time to go, a little bit of a bounce, and then go. All right, and that's going to kind of defeat some of the purpose of the pause squat. If we're trying to eliminate the benefit of the stretch reflex in the lift, then we want to hold, and once we go, everything is up. All right, there's no bounce, there's no double dip or anything. So we want to have an active pause, not a passive pause. So that's really going to be the only change to your technique in the pause squat. How long the pause should be, anywhere from a real solid 1 Mississippi up to, it could even get into like a 5 count pause. I remember way back, the kids won't remember these times, when Instagram videos could only be 15 seconds long. My goal was always to do a pause squat, as heavy of a pause squat as I could throughout the entirety of the Instagram video. And then Instagram videos went to a minute, and that challenge got a lot harder. But anything in that typically 3 to 5 second pause, but you just got to have a true break of the momentum. It's not, a pause squat as it gets heavier doesn't mean that you just go down slower than normal and have kind of like a California roll at the bottom where you don't really stop at the stop sign, you kind of just slow down. You want to have a true separation of the eccentric and concentric phases of the squat. So at minimum, 1 Mississippi, all right, all the way out to probably 5 seconds. A training partner counting it for you could be a great thing to do. Using a metronome on your phone, if you just Google metronome and set it to 60 BPM, and you hear those clicks, on like the second or third or fourth, whichever one it is for you to go. All right, so why would you want to use the pause squat in your training? If you have a specific weak point, particularly weak out of the bottom of the squat, pause squat's going to be a simple way to address that. If you're not sure where is my weak point, pause squat can be a great thing for that too, because whether it's squat, bench, or deadlift, the better you get at the start of the concentric phase, so right off the chest in the bench press, right out of the hole in the squat, right off the floor in the deadlift, the more energy and momentum you're going to have to carry you through any subsequent sticking points. If you feel like you have inconsistent depth or an inconsistent bottom position in the squat, doing pause squats is going to give you more time to learn and master those positions. Finally, can you use pauses in different parts of the squat? Certainly, this is something I used to prescribe a lot more and haven't done as much recently. Everything besides the bottom position becomes a little bit more open to interpretation, and as the set goes, it's very difficult. Even people with the best of intentions are going to get a little bit higher, a little bit higher, a little bit higher. But if you want to experiment with that, you could pause at different points on the way down. You could pause in the hole, of course. You can pause at different points on the way up. You're gonna wanna try and pause. Let's say you feel like you have a sticking point that's about 3 inches above parallel on the way up. You wanna try and do a pause squat at about 2 inches above parallel on the way up. So you're gonna go all the way down, rebound, hold, 1, 2, 3, and then finish the squat. When doing that, I think you can experience a little bit of technical disruption, which is also part of the reason that I haven't been prescribing it as much. People will drift back a little bit. It's very challenging to maintain the right position, but hey, I guess that's what we're here to do, is do stuff that's challenging us to get stronger. And you can also use pause squats as a fatigue management tool, as a way to use variation to manage fatigue. So let's say that you're really big and strong, or for whatever reason, you have a hard time recovering from 2 times a week or 3 times a week squatting. Well, the pause squat can be a good variation to mix in there because you can't go as heavy in the pause squat as you do a regular squat. So you can have a similar relative intensity, 80% of your regular squat, let's say, is 400 pounds, and 80% of your pause squat is 375 pounds. So now, instead of doing another workout with 400 pounds, you're doing a workout with 375 pounds. And even though it's similar relative intensity, because the absolute intensity, 375 being less than 400, is lower, there's gonna be a little bit less fatigue that comes with that. So if you're in higher frequency squatting periods, or in any phase of your training where you need to work hard, but you need a little bit of a break, you don't wanna have these kind of identically set up sessions throughout the week, but some slight undulation, then the pause squat can be a good way for you to achieve that through strategic use of variation. And now, when should you do pause squats? Pause squat can be used in any phase of training. During a hypertrophy phase, pause squat can be a really, really tough choice because it's gonna make the set take longer. If you're doing sets of 6 pause squats with the 3 count pause at the bottom on every set, compared to a regular squat, that set might take 3 times as long or close to it. So it's going to be a very challenging option, but that can also make it a really effective option because it's going to keep your technique very strict. It's probably going to cause you to have a little bit slower eccentric before your pause. Get lengthened partials. No, that's not it. It's the full stretch in the longest, most stretched position for the muscle, which is going to be great for hypertrophy. In strength, it's going to be an excellent option to address a specific weak point. And then in peaking, it could still be to address that weak point, or it could be for fatigue management through the strategic use of variation. Maybe you're doing your competition squats, 4 or 5 sets of those, and then throw in like 2 or 3 sets of pause squats to reinforce good positions and challenge that out of the hole weak point for yourself. So now we know how to do pause squats. Active pause, not a passive pause. Why to do pause squats, addressing a specific weak point, learning a better bottom position. If you're struggling with your depth, you're gonna have more time to know this is what proper depth feels like, or as a strategic use of variation as a fatigue management tool, and when to do pause squats. They can be used throughout any phase, whether it's for hypertrophy with a little bit more challenge in the biggest stretch position of the muscle, whether it's in strength, addressing the specific weak point, or it's in peaking, addressing the weak point again with a little bit of fatigue management because of the lower absolute intensity. So now you know a little bit more about the pause squat. You might get them prescribed to you if you sign up for a 2-week free trial of the Juggernaut AI app down at the link in our description or at juggernautai.app. Hopefully you learned something from this video. Like, subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff. Thank you.